On true crime threads, a secret affair turns deadly. Discover the shocking truth behind a student's tragic end. Ellie Andrews was the kind of high school senior every teacher dreamed of: bright, ambitious, and full of potential. At 17, she was already on the fast track to her dream of becoming a journalist. With a flawless academic record and a quiet charm, Ellie was adored by her classmates and admired by the faculty. Her favorite subject was English literature, where her essays often left her teacher, Mr. Lucas Graves, impressed. Lucas Graves was in his mid-30s, a charismatic and enigmatic teacher who had joined the school 2 years earlier. Known for his unconventional teaching methods, he quickly became a student favorite. His passion for literature was infectious, and he had a way of connecting with students that made them feel understood. Ellie was no exception. She admired his intellect, his unique perspective, and the encouragement he offered to those willing to put in the effort. For Ellie, the extra guidance Mr. Graves provided after class was invaluable. She often stayed late, poring over drafts of essays, seeking feedback on her phrasing, and refining her work to perfection. Their shared love of literature seemed innocent at first, a connection between a dedicated student and an inspiring mentor. However, as weeks turned into months, their closeness began to draw attention. Ellie's friends joked about her spending more time in Mr. Graves' classroom than anywhere else, but the remarks were light-hearted and harmless. For them, it was simply a sign of Ellie's determination. Yet, rumors have a way of spreading, and soon whispers began circulating. It started small passing comments in hallways, casual speculation about why Ellie seemed so eager to stay after class. The whispers grew louder when someone claimed to have seen Ellie and Mr. Graves together at a coffee shop after school hours. Though no one could confirm it, the suggestion alone was enough to spark curiosity and suspicion among students. The administration dismissed the gossip as unfounded. After all, there was no concrete evidence to support the claims. Ellie's teachers continued to praise her academic dedication, and Mr. Graves remained a respected figure in the school. But as the rumor refused to die, it began to overshadow their reputations. Ellie's classmates were left to speculate, but no one could have imagined how deeply entwined her life had become with her teachers, or how those whispers would spiral into something far darker. What seemed like an innocent mentorship on the surface was hiding secrets that would eventually tear lives apart. The truth remained hidden, festering beneath the surface, waiting to erupt with devastating consequences. Ellie's sudden changes in behavior caught her parents' attention. Once an open and talkative teenager, she had become withdrawn and secretive. She spent hours locked in her room, her phone never leaving her hand, and her once regular family dinners became quick, silent affairs. When questioned, Ellie brushed off their concerns, attributing her behavior to the stress of senior year. Her parents, though uneasy, didn't push too hard, assuming it was a phase. Late-night phone calls and cryptic messages on her phone hinted at something deeper. Ellie would smile faintly at her screen, her mood shifting from elation to anxiety within moments. She had grown adept at hiding her secrets, but her increasingly distracted demeanor at home and school didn't go unnoticed. Teachers remarked on her sudden lack of focus, and friends whispered about a mysterious change in her priorities. Unbeknownst to everyone, Ellie and Mr. Graves had crossed a dangerous line. What began as a professional relationship fueled by mentorship and shared interests had spiraled into a forbidden affair. They communicated through burner phones purchased to avoid detection and met in places they believed to be safe, quiet parks, coffee shops miles from school, and dimly lit back roads. The thrill of secrecy emboldened them, but the weight of their actions loomed like a shadow over every moment they shared. Ellie's journal, once filled with dreams of college and career aspirations, began to take a darker tone. She wrote about the struggles of maintaining a double life and the fear of being discovered. Yet her words also revealed a deep emotional attachment to Lucas, whom she described as her only source of understanding for Ellie. The relationship felt like an escape from the pressures of teenage life, a connection she couldn't replicate elsewhere. One evening, Ellie's mother, Sarah, noticed her daughter sneaking out of the house. Concerned but unsure how to approach the situation, Sarah began to pay closer attention. Searching Ellie's room, she found a journal filled with cryptic notes and veiled references to someone Ellie called L. Alarmed but unsure what to do, Sarah resolved to confront her daughter directly. At school, the walls began closing in. A classmate, suspicious of Ellie's secretive behavior, anonymously reported her and Mr. Graves to the school counselor. Though the report lacked evidence, it triggered an internal investigation. When administrators questioned Lucas, he denied any inappropriate relationship, maintaining that his role in Ellie's life was purely professional. Ellie, under pressure, insisted the same. The rumors, however, refused to fade. The school, the students, and even Ellie's parents began piecing together fragments of a puzzle that was far more dangerous than any of them realized. Yet the situation would soon escalate far beyond gossip, unraveling their carefully constructed lies and plunging their lives into chaos. 2 weeks after the scandal broke, Ellie Andrews vanished. She had been navigating the fallout of the rumors and allegations with increasing difficulty, retreating further into herself as judgment and whispers followed her everywhere. On the night she disappeared, Ellie told her parents she needed some fresh air and left the house, promising she'd be back soon. That promise would never be fulfilled. When Ellie didn't return by midnight, her parents began to worry. At first, they thought she might have gone to a friend's house to escape the pressure at home, but when her phone went straight to voicemail and her friends claimed they hadn't seen her, panic set in. By morning, Ellie's parents reported her missing, and the entire community rallied to search for her. Posters with Ellie's smiling face were plastered across town, and local news stations covered the story relentlessly. The police began piecing together Ellie's final known movements. She had been seen walking near the high school around dusk, but after that, her trail went cold. Investigators interviewed her friends, family, and teachers, hoping to uncover a clue. Naturally, their attention turned to Lucas Graves, who had been at the center of the recent scandal. Lucas, now suspended and under intense public scrutiny, had gone into hiding. When police tracked him down, Lucas admitted he had been in contact with Ellie on the night she disappeared. He claimed she had called him in distress, but he insisted he had no idea where she had gone afterward. Despite his denials, suspicion mounted. His involvement in the scandal made him an easy target for blame, and many in the community were convinced he was responsible. As the search stretched into its 3rd week, a jogger made a chilling discovery. In a wooded area behind the high school, he noticed an area of disturbed earth and, upon closer inspection, found a shallow grave. The body inside was wrapped in a blanket, and though decomposition had begun, the victim was quickly identified as Ellie Andrews. The autopsy revealed she had suffered blunt force trauma to the head, and her death was ruled a homicide. The discovery sent shockwaves through the town, plunging it into mourning and fear. The once vibrant girl, full of promise, had been silenced in the most brutal way. Police intensified their focus on Lucas, whose suspicious behavior and proximity to Ellie made him the prime suspect. Yet, despite their best efforts, investigators struggled to uncover solid evidence linking him to the murder. As grief consumed Ellie's family and outrage spread through the community, one thing was clear: someone had gone to great lengths to ensure the truth stayed buried. Ellie's autopsy revealed that blunt force trauma had caused her death, but the details of her injuries left investigators puzzled. The pattern of the wound suggested an object had been used, but no murder weapon was found at the scene. With little physical evidence to go on, police turned to reconstructing Ellie's final days. Her phone, recovered from the wooded area near her body, provided a partial timeline of her last known movements. However, several messages had been deleted, deepening the mystery. As the investigation unfolded, suspicion fell heavily on Lucas Graves. His involvement in Ellie's life was no secret, and the scandal surrounding their alleged relationship painted him as the obvious suspect. Public opinion turned sharply against him. Protesters gathered outside his home, demanding justice for Ellie, and his reputation was destroyed. Investigators unearthed a series of troubling purchases Lucas had made just days before Ellie's disappearance, including a shovel, rope, and duct tape. Surveillance footage placed him near the wooded area around the time Ellie was last seen alive. Despite this, Lucas maintained his innocence. He claimed the purchases were for a home renovation project and insisted he had no reason to harm Ellie. He acknowledged their inappropriate relationship but argued it had ended the moment their connection became public. Without direct evidence tying him to the crime, police had no choice but to release him. Still, the court of public opinion had already declared him guilty. While the focus remained on Lucas, a startling discovery added a new layer of complexity. Investigators found a series of threatening messages on Ellie's phone, sent from an anonymous number. These messages, received in the weeks before her death, warned her to end her relationship with Lucas or face dire consequences. The messages were aggressive and detailed, suggesting the sender knew intimate details about Ellie's life. The investigation soon uncovered a new suspect, Brooke Hayes, a classmate of Ellie's who had a history of conflict with her. Brooke had been vocal about her disapproval of Ellie's closeness to Lucas and had previously accused Ellie of ruining everything. When confronted, Brooke admitted to sending the threatening messages but denied any involvement in Ellie's death. Her alibi for the night Ellie disappeared was shaky, and her fingerprints were found on the blanket that had been used to wrap Ellie's body. The evidence against Brooke appeared damning, yet something didn't sit right with detectives. Brooke's motive seemed rooted in jealousy, but the physical nature of the crime suggested a level of violence beyond what she was capable of. The case against Brooke stalled as investigators struggled to reconcile the evidence with her potential role. Meanwhile, the real truth remained hidden, waiting to surface. In a shocking turn of events, new evidence surfaced that shifted the investigation entirely. Detectives discovered an overlooked detail in Ellie's journal. Her final entries described a growing sense of fear and paranoia. She wrote about being followed and mentioned someone she referred to as the shadow. The entries were fragmented and vague, but they hinted at a person who had been watching her in the days leading up to her disappearance. The revelation led investigators to re-examine the case. While Lucas Graves and Brooke Hayes remained suspects, the journal suggested a third person had been involved, someone Ellie had feared but never directly named. With renewed focus, detectives reviewed surveillance footage from areas near the wooded site where Ellie's body had been found. Their persistence paid off when a blurry figure, later identified as Derek Cole, was seen leaving the area late at night on the evening of Ellie's disappearance. Derek Cole was a maintenance worker at the school, a man in his mid-40s with a troubled past. Known for his temper and erratic behavior, Derek had flown under the radar during the initial investigation. When questioned, he denied knowing Ellie beyond casual encounters at school. However, further digging revealed a darker side to his story. Derek had a history of violent altercations and had been accused of stalking a female coworker years earlier. DNA evidence retrieved from Ellie's clothing provided the breakthrough police had been waiting for. A match tied Derek directly to the scene, and a search of his home uncovered items that linked him to the crime, including Ellie's missing phone. Confronted with the mounting evidence, Derek broke under pressure and confessed to his role in her death. According to Derek, he had developed an unhealthy obsession with Ellie after overhearing rumors about her relationship with Lucas. Fueled by jealousy and a twisted sense of possession, Derek began following her, watching her from a distance and convincing himself he was protecting her from harm. On the night Ellie disappeared, Derek had approached her in the wooded area, intending to confront her about Lucas. When Ellie tried to leave, the situation escalated into violence. Derek claimed her death was accidental, the result of a heated argument that spiraled out of control. However, the deliberate act of burying her body proved otherwise. He had wrapped her in a blanket and left her in a shallow grave, hoping his crime would go unnoticed. With Derek's confession, Lucas Graves and Brooke Hayes were cleared of murder charges, though both remained deeply affected by the ordeal. Lucas's career and reputation were irreparably damaged, while Brooke continued to face the stigma of her earlier threats. Ellie's family, meanwhile, was left to grieve the loss of their beloved daughter, robbed of the bright future she deserved. Ellie's tragic story served as a chilling reminder of how obsession and betrayal can shatter lives, leaving an indelible mark on an entire community. The truth had finally been uncovered, but the scars would remain forever.